Greetings, gorgeous beings of light. This is Elmara coming to you from the spectacular Gold Coast hinterland in Queensland, Australia, with miracle number 65 in our 100 Miracles in 100 Days project, and the first step on my fifth dimension activation and effortless manifesting quickie. Take a big breath in. Fill up your entire body with life-giving chi. Then breathe out with a bit of sound. If you can't do a big breath for whatever reason, then please just do a slow, gentle breath. But the trick is to follow the breath in, hold it for as long as it's comfortable, and then let it out through the mouth. Let's do this several times. Fill your belly up first, then bring the air up into your lungs. Let go of everything that's outside this moment. Breathing in source light. Breathing out everything that no longer serves you. Breathing in peace and love and abundance. Breathing out lack and limitation and struggle and scarcity. Breathing in love, unconditional love. Breathing out fear. Breathing in joy and bliss. Breathing out sadness. Everything that's outside of this one perfect moment has to go. Letting it out with a sigh or some sound is the fastest way to move that stuff out of your body. There's some kookaburras going off down the hill. I doubt you'll hear them on this recording, but still, it's a huge sign of abundance when those cookies go off. Okay. When you feel your awareness is within, you can breathe in through the nose and out through the nose. But please, if while I'm telling you this story, any frustration, anger, sadness, anything comes up, then just return to breathing in through the nose and out through the mouth and release that stuff out of your body. There is powerful source codes embedded in my voice that are designed to bring everything that's out of alignment with your divine oneness to the surface. So if you get irritated with my chitty chatty, then that is a great sign that your stuff is coming to the surface to be released. Not for you to go playing in, but for it to be released. And all you need to do is breathe and let it go. Let it go through your breath. And if you need to make that a louder then do so. It's amazing what happens when you clear your voice. So today I wanted to talk to you about perfect timing. I have heaps more miracles I could tell you about Jack, heaps more miracles I could tell you about Tilba Tilba, heaps more death and dying miracles I could tell you. But today I want to talk to you about perfect timing. And sometimes when we're trying to manifest stuff, we kind of want it to happen in our time. So we ask for a miracle or ask for something to come into our life and then stand around and tell God how to suck eggs, we say. But you tell God how to bring that to you instead of just asking for what you want and letting it go. And I'm not saying that I'm not been very guilty of that in the past, but I'm now saying I'm better at it. And I have this example I'm going to share with you today. It shows that sometimes stuff shows up in its right timing, in its perfect timing. when it is right for you. And sometimes you don't know that what you thought you wanted was what was going to happen down the track to cause that to not be what you wanted. Just breathe in through the nose and out through the nose. So when I first arrived in Queensland, there was a whole story about getting across the border, and I think I've told that before. Yeah, it's in the miracle called Bono Gin, Boni-Gin. How I perfectly got across the border before they slammed them shut and no one could get in, and you had to pay $3,000 to enforce quarantine. None of that happened to me. But I did end up, and I wanted to be at the sea, and I ended up at an Airbnb in Bonogan, is how it's pronounced. I ended up staying there for 7 months. I would go on these bouts of looking for somewhere to live and then just get fed up of looking, or that they wanted ridiculous amounts of money for something you couldn't swing a cat around in. And anyway, so eventually I just left it, and it was where I was staying in an Airbnb. I had my own room, my own bathroom, and occasionally other people came. But basically, I got to live there for heaps cheaper than if I'd gone out and got a little granny flat. So I just stayed there until the owners came to me and said, "Elle, we would really like to get some, take advantage of the holiday rent." So, and they wanted more for one night than what I was paying for a whole week. So, which was $500 a night. And I thought, oh, they'll never get anyone. But within a day or so of them putting it up, they were booked from like the 15th, when they'd asked me to leave, all the way through till, I don't know, the 10th or something of January. So I just went and got a house sit, because the last house sit I did, just nearby in Reedy Creek, and looked after two lovely Labradors while their family went down to Melbourne for 3 weeks, because they had finally just opened up so people could travel again, go on Christmas holidays, etc. It got locked down again after that. Not here in Queensland, but down in Victoria it did. Just breathe for me, please. So what happened was I stayed there, then I did this week, but at the end of it, because it was right in the middle of when it finished, I think it finished on like the 4th of January, but it was right dead smack in the middle of Christmas, New Year holiday time. If I couldn't get anything before that, I certainly couldn't get anything to rent then. So I went back to the lovely people, and they offered me a room in their house, which was lovely of them, but it drove me crazy. Living in the Airbnb building next door was completely different to living in it was completely different to living in the house. There was 6 people living in the house that all yelled and screamed at one another and smoked dope. And it was just completely out of alignment with my frequency. All really beautiful people, but just not good for me and my energy. And I'd been there about a week, and I saw this place in Currumbin that I really, really wanted. I really wanted this place in Currumbin. It was ridiculously expensive. It had no kitchen. It had, they called it a galley kitchen, but I could barely fit through the space that you were supposed to walk through, that you were supposed to prepare meals in. You couldn't have got 2 people to walk past one another in the space. And they wanted like $500 a week for it. It had everything there. It meant that I would have had to put all my stuff when it arrived from Tilba in the garage, and I did have one garage space, so that was fine. It also had 20 steps up, which I was just like, oh God. but I thought I'll do it. It was also on the top floor, and it meant that in summertime it would have been excruciatingly hot. And I don't think it had included electricity as well. So I said yes, I wanted it. I was the first person, only because I was so over living in this place, and I'd seen that on the Wednesday. On the came the Monday. He sent me a text on the Sunday saying, "Would you come and meet my mum?" And then when I didn't get the text by lunchtime, I texted him. He wrote back and said, "I'm sorry, we found someone." And I was so damn mad. I was mad with God, but I was mad with him too for not choosing me. I was mad because I couldn't stand being in this house. I love the people. I still love them. I still communicate with them. I just couldn't live there because the energy was so out of alignment with mine. And I was just furious. And I was like, God, get your shit together and find me a house to live now. I was so mad. I was so angry. And I was just, and sometimes, this is the thing about spiritual stuff. People go, you can't get angry. Sometimes I've had some of my biggest breakthroughs when I've got mad as all hell with God and demanded. And it's almost like your soul is stepping up and going, this is what I want. I will not tolerate this behavior anymore, which was really what was going on. I was like, I will not tolerate living with people who smoke dope anymore. And fine if you want to do that, but if you really could see what was going on, there's all these spiritual people that say you should do that. They actually profess that it's really good for you, and I'm telling you, sooner or later you're going to have to deal with your shit. I mean, sooner or later you're going to see what's actually going on when you smoke dope. And you can make all the excuses and go, oh, well, it heals my body. You can do that just as well by connecting to spirit. Sooner or later you'll have to deal with whatever it is you're doing that you are using the dope smoking to escape from. Sooner or later it'll come up. That's all I want to say about that. And so, because heaps of people get in my face about it, and heaps of people get the shits with me about it, but if you knew how infinitely powerful you were and how much bliss and joy exists in your soul, you would never do that. You'd never have any need to do that. So anyway, I've gone off my face at God. Next morning, I'm laying in bed meditating. I used to live in my room at this place unless I was just getting some food organised or whatever. And I hear Source say, get out of bed and check your messages. And I was like, nah, I just want to meditate for a bit longer. No, get out of bed and check your messages now. I just want to meditate for a bit longer. Get out of bed and check your messages. I was like, okay, I'll get out of bed and check my messages. And what had happened was that the owner of the house, he had sent a message to his wife, and she had sent me at 4 o'clock in the morning. He would have done that because he's, works all night or whatever. And then at 6 o'clock in the morning, she sent me the message, and then I get it at 8 o'clock in the morning. And it's for a 2-bedroom property within my budget, still much more than what I was paying at the Airbnb. And 33% more than what I was ordering. Well, when I moved into the house, it was costing me more than what it cost me in the Airbnb, and then it was 33% more. It was almost double what I was paying at the Airbnb to move in here. But I didn't care. I just wanted peace, and I just wanted my own space. And the ad read, so there was 2 ads. So the reason I'm talking about perfect timing, and I want to tell you this story, is because sometimes you can have everything going against you, but if it's yours and it's the perfect timing, then you will receive that in that perfect timing. So the ad was up. One of the ads said, because it was on a spiritual page, what did it say? It said, I'd be really happy if I could find someone spiritual like me, but I will settle for someone who's kind. And then the other one just said, I'd like a kind and honest person, because it was on like a more, everyday page. But I was not a member of either of those Facebook pages. Excuse me. So I immediately wrote to the owner saying, I'm a Excuse me, sorry, I've got a burp coming up, which is what happens when you're telling powerful stories and powerful energy is coming through to you, through me to you. I write to her by a message request, but of course they don't necessarily get those messages. And I could see already there was like hundreds of people had answered this ad. I didn't know how in blazes I was going to stand out. So I applied to be a member of both of those groups. So it was a full-on thing to be doing. I applied to be a member of both of those groups. I'd sent out this huge message to her. They didn't break through till about, I didn't get accepted into those groups till about 12 o'clock. I then went and put huge messages on her posts and just said, I've sent you a message. It'll be in your message request. I'm a spiritual teacher. I've been looking for over 7 months for someone to live. I would desperately love to have the opportunity to view your property and to rent your property. So I next get a message from her saying, if you can come at 2:30, I will be home. And she goes, I'll be home from work then. So she came home early, but she had all these other people booked in. But once she saw my ad, she booked me in half an hour early. And when I came, the place is old and it's daggy, but one, it was my own. Two, she said I could have a pet. Three, she said that she didn't say anything, but it was on 4 acres. It was up a goat track, but it was just so perfectly still, and there was trees and birds. And you've all seen pictures of this lovely property that I live on in the videos that haven't got the gold heart on it. I've done one at Christmas time when it was bucketing down rain, and another time I did it when the birds were just exquisite first thing in the morning, and called it Dawn Magic, I think. So you can go back and see how exquisitely beautiful. And that's all that was important to me. I know that I can change the energy of anything. And yep, it's old and it's daggy. It's really old, like 50. I think this part was built first, and then the part that my landlord and a hubby live in. It's one great big long house. They live right down the other end of that house, and that's the new part, whereas this is old. Still got the same carpet from blooming 60 years ago, I think. So, but it didn't bother me. Didn't bother me because I was more interested in the beauty around me, the peace, the quiet, the trees, the birds, everything. And I'd got the cash out the day before that because I really thought I was going to the other place. So I had the cash and I just paid. Said, yeah, I'll take it. She goes, you sure? I went, yeah, I'm sure I'll take it. And there was, for a time, for a couple of weeks or a couple of months, I was still looking for something else. But when I couldn't find it, I just gave up wasting my energy. And so and this is the bit about perfect timing I wanted to tell you. So in all of this, my lovely man, Mystery Bay Removals, which is another story about Mystery Bay Removals on miracle number 19, if you want to go and have a listen to that. But Mick was storing my stuff, and I just said to him, when you get a load up to Queensland, can you bring my 5 boxes? That's what I seem to cart with me when I go places, 5 boxes, and a car full of stuff. And anyway, so he'd been looking after storing my boxes since October. And, he'd had them, since about, I can't remember, a couple of months anyway. He'd had my boxes there and was going to bring them through when he came. And this was, and he anyway, that's not relevant. What's relevant is he's got my stuff. He gets a load up to Queensland. And he said, oh, Elle, I think I might be coming up to Queensland next week. I said, yeah. He goes, where am I going to bring your stuff to? And I said, oh, I'll be in Benogan. And then on the day he rings me and I go, oh, looks like I found a place, Mick. So in the morning he rings me and goes, Elle, I think I'm going to get there today and not Wednesday. And I said, well, It'll be Bonogan or Bonogan. I just haven't seen the place yet. I've got to look at it at 2:30, Mick. And he goes, and I said, so can I just set your sights on Bonogan, and I'll either be able to store it where I was living in the house, or you'll be able to bring it directly to where I am, where I'm moving into. And anyway, at 2:30 I came here and looked at the house. At 3:30 Mick rings me again. I go, yeah, it's Bonogan, Mick, this address, the second address. So I said to God, for God's sake, can I please have my house organised? I do not want to have to pay someone again or put it into storage or pay someone to move it again to where I'm going. And so I got this place about 3 o'clock on the 16th of January, and Mick arrived at about 4:30 on his way through to the Sunshine Coast with a load and drops my stuff off on his way up. It was the last lot that he put in to his truck. He put it in the back of his truck, and it was worked out better for him because he had a plan to take his load up to the Sunshine Coast and drop the other stuff off my stuff on the way back. But with him being able to drop, because it was at the back of the truck, it meant he could just drop it off and then just go straight through to his next place. So perfect timing, like perfect timing. There I was for 7 months trying to find a place, probably wasting all of this energy. And then when it came down to it and I really, really needed a place, which is exactly the same situation I'm in at the moment, and I'm hoping to have a big miracle to tell you in the next few days about that. But I'd been looking for 7 months, and then when the time was right, I got this place. People were pulling up as Myra was trying to text them, and she had to yell out to one people, I'm sorry, it's gone already. And there was hundreds of people because we'd had another massive rainstorm here, and there was huge mudslides in Mudgebar, and people had been flooded in mud and had to move, and so there was all these homeless people from that. That was before we had 3 or 4 other floods that followed that. So just breathe for me, please. So what is yours can't be taken away from you. What is perfect for you? I've lived here for over 2 years now. I again have to move. I've been looking this time for over a year. I looked frantically for 3 or 4 months, 5 months. First of all, I got given 2 months' notice, and then that was extended for another 3 months, and I still couldn't. And then I heard the story about, the owners trying to sell their place in Sydney and needed to get the repairs done, and so I was just put on a month-to-month lease. And then finally, that's all sorted now, and in December, the owners here said, oh, we need you to be gone by the end of February. So nothing like leaving it till the last minute. But the thing was that from August onwards, I just went, it'll come to me. And heaps of people go, oh, here's a granny flat now, here's a granny flat now, here's a granny flat now. I still haven't got any of them, so I'm kind of working on a big miracle at the moment. So perfect timing. It's always about perfect timing, about when the time's right and the place is right. And this, I've had 1 or 2 tiffs with my landlord, not big ones, but this has been absolutely perfect for me. Absolutely perfect for me. And so sometimes perfect timing. Sometimes there's something bigger and better and higher. Oh, the thing that I really wanted to tell you, the first place that I wanted in Currumbin, that I would have had to leave my stuff down in the garage, he had already told me that they flooded once or twice a year, and he had to bring our bread and milk in or whatever. He'd already mentioned that. But we had these massive, massive floods. Like we had numerous times. We had, which was bigger than any of the other so-called floods, because the Currumbin Creek ran right through their property. We had I think it was like 1,000 mils, which is like 40 inches of rain, like twice in a month, more than 40 inches of rain. There was huge trees just falling out the ground and falling over because there was nothing. It was all sodden underneath them, and there was no dirt to hold their roots together. So, yeah, it was a big time. And if I had got that place in Currumbin, I would have been flooded in or had Granny downstairs up living with me, whatever. But it wouldn't have been perfect. And I would have been so hot. Like the sun was blaring in and it wasn't even a hot day when I got there. So sometimes there's just a better plan for you. And sometimes it's about timing. I only got to stay in the house for 2 weeks. And yeah. That I was here. And it's been perfect and peaceful and beautiful. And it's time to leave now. And something really beautiful and magical is being manifested right now. And I'm so excited. I'm so excited about the next place that I'm going to live. So, and I'll have more details about that soon. But I was reminded this morning when I was meditating about perfect timing. About perfect timing. About sometimes we need to let go and let God. You just need to ask for what you want and then you let it go. Don't tell God how to bring that to you. Because for most of the time I've lived here, there's only been me. On this huge property, 5 people living here. Most of the time there was just me. Sometimes hubby was home, but he would be gone again, like during Monday to Friday. It's just been exquisite. And I have been so blessed. And it might have been an old house, but I can feel anything with exquisite energy, and it's still perfect, so take a big breath in for me, please. And we're just going to move on now and could do the first step of my 5th dimension activation. Because if you want these things to come faster, connecting to the 5th dimension and beyond is the way to go these days. Trying to do stuff, I don't even know how anyone lives in 3D now, but plenty of people still are. They're all the people watching the news. Because all the shit that's happening in the world is a reflection of all the crap that's going on in the people living in 3D. So the faster more of us can get into 5D and beyond, the faster all of that stuff will stop. Because it's just a reflection of the manufactured pain and suffering that people cart around in their beings, in their bodies every day. So just breathe in. And there's heaps, there's a story on here somewhere about Jackie who went from struggling to pay her rent to being, just from listening to these free activations and breathing and connecting to this first one step. I gave her this first one step of my 5th dimension activation, and within 20 days she'd manifested $36,000 a year for the rest of her life. So just breathe. There's a gorgeous picture of a woman in pink with light exploding out of her heart that tells that story. If you want to, it's out of a, the rest of them all got cold hearts if you want to go listen to that. Breathe. And if you want to know how to connect to the 5th dimension and beyond and access all of the infinite power and bliss and joy and abundance and gorgeousness that exists within you, then we will be starting, it's in April now, we will be starting Become a Powerful 5th Dimension Activator and beyond. So the details of that will be below when this video is loaded. Just breathe. And you'll save $666 if you do this very first one. Breathe. Bring your awareness into your hands. You're breathing in through the nose and out through the nose. And on the next breath in, raise your hands up Breathe out and tie the energy from your fingertips around our beautiful, beautiful sun, Father Sun, or just source light sun that gives light and life to everything on earth. You're going to breathe in, draw a scoop of that gorgeous sunlight down through your crown. Breathe that gorgeous light into your 100 trillion cells and your 100 trillion telomeres, and take the last 5% of that sun energy down through your feet, growing roots as you go from your feet or your tailbone if you're seated, and tie that energy around the core of Mother Earth, where there's another big golden sun. Breathe in and bring the energy from the earth back up. Breathe out into your being. Take the last 5% up to the sun. And that's it, really. Breathe in through the nose. If you're releasing anything, breathe out through the mouth, but otherwise breathe out through the nose. All that gorgeous source light into your body, last 5% into earth. Breathe in. Bring all the minerals and nutrients and everything you need to sustain your physical life here on earth up through the root system. Breathe out. Take the last 5% up to the sun. Breathe in. And breathe out. Into earth. Breathe in. And breathe out. Now just continue that breath while I just explain. This first step does more than just connect you to the earth and the sun. It realigns your meridian lines that used to go from the earth and the sun. And that's the reason why, even if you cannot afford to do my training, if you just continue to do this first step every day for 22 to 28 days, something will shift in your life, because it brings you back into alignment with who you are. If you can do it barefoot on Mother Earth first thing in the morning, that's the best way to do it. But you can also just imagine that's what you're doing if you're living where it's snowing or whatever. If you're crook, you can lay, if you're sick, we say crook here in Australia, good old slang. But if you're sick, you can lay down on your side and still imagine you're doing it and still have benefits from doing it. Just continue that breath for me now. Well, I just give you, it's a long, 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 long miracle today, so must have needed it. Got some big source codes happening through me at the moment. So let's just do a quick blast of fifth dimensional energy. Just breathe this into any area of your life. Receive this energy. Use it to heal your body, heal your life, heal your relationships, heal your finances. Oh, I could just get lost there forever. Alrighty, you gorgeous beings of light, that's us done for another day. Sending you so much love and blessings, and I look forward to talking with you again all soon. Bye for now.